Make 2024 awesome. Today is hacks number 7 to 9. We've been over 6. We've got 3 left, and I hope your excitement and motivation is high for your goals this 2024. Now, today I want to focus more on dialing in your nutrition with these 3 hacks. Now, the first thing is protein. Now, you're probably like, yeah, I get it, protein, but from a body composition and a performance perspective, and actually even more from a weight loss perspective, protein is that important. And I don't ever work with a client as a high performance coach and not see more benefit when we really dial in the protein intake. Now, a lot of people can have quite specialist diets that can make it quite challenging to get some meals high in protein. And that's where protein supplements can help. That's where we would fly the flag for our proteins, and you can add it to smoothies, in porridge bowls, make it as a hot chocolate. You can use it in recipes. It's very versatile. But I want you to know where your protein needs to be. So maybe go to our website, Awesome Supplements, scroll down to the bottom, click on the link for our calorie calculator and put your information in and start to understand what your body ideally needs for your body weight and your activity levels to eat every day in terms of protein. And if you're not dialed in to your calorie needs as well, then I would recommend that as well. Then you can start to plan what that looks like. So for me, for example, I go for simplicity in my diet, I go for convenience in my diet, and I go for overall need and nourishment. Taste is kind of like last on the agenda, but that then changes to like my last meal of the day, which I tend to like enjoy. I cook with the family, but like sort of breakfast, lunch and snacks, I go purely for function. Now, I'm a good cook. I know what I'm doing in the kitchen, so it does generally taste pretty good. But what that looks like in terms of my routine is quite often first thing in the morning, I might have a protein hot chocolate, or I might have some eggs, or I might have some protein porridge. Just really simple. I try and make sure there's a fruit or a vegetable in there as well, but I make it something that I can literally make in 5 minutes. And I can imagine a lot of people are similar in the morning. They want something pretty quick, pretty easy, but it's got to be healthy as well, and it's got to fit our needs. Then later on, when it comes to lunch, I'll quite often be having like salads, soups. It'll have like chicken in it. Maybe we'll be using tofu. Like, keep it really simple, but every meal has an anchor of protein in it. A, for satiation, B, for physical need, and C, for performance, recovery, and it's going to help stabilize our blood sugar to make sure we're getting good cognitive performance as well. And then when it comes to the evening meal, again, I can imagine you're probably basing meals around a protein content anyway. A lot of the family meals do, but it's really important. I want you to understand where you're not getting enough and how you can improve it. And it might be that you don't use protein shakes, but they're a really easy way to just boost where you might not be getting enough, because we're looking at optimal. I'm not recording this video helping you be more awesome, talking about sufficiency. The government recommends you have 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight of protein. That's not optimal. That's just sufficiency. We want to be getting 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, maybe even higher, depending on your activity level. So protein is super important. Dial it in. So hack number 8, I want you to start to really dial in to how your food makes you feel. Now, this is important because if we talk about physical and mental performance, we need to be eating meals that fuel our energy, cognitively and physically. So if you eat a meal and 2 hours later you're feeling tired, you're feeling a bit sluggish, we don't want that, especially if you've had a good night's sleep, and that would indicate it's been your meal. So the meal could have not balanced your blood sugar very well, or it could have had something in it that was reactive to your body. So for example, if I eat cow's dairy, which I'm not very good on at all, I don't eat it, it makes my brain like really fuzzy, it makes it not like tired, but I'm just like, it just doesn't work very well. So for me, I avoid that food because it has a cognitive effect on me that I do not want. Similarly, if I have too high carb a meal, especially early on in the day, I get hungry quite quickly. It doesn't fill me up as well as like a more protein and fat dense meal. And I get a big energy dip. And I find that energy dip is more aggressive the higher carb the meal. So for me, I try and keep it higher protein, higher fat, and avoid foods that I'm reactive to. And that usually sees my energy very good throughout the day. And I want you to listen, because I don't want you to be eating a breakfast that, even though it looks healthy, is not fueling you cognitively or physically. And the cognitive decline will lead to physical decline. For example, if you eat a meal that doesn't make you feel great and you're meant to be exercising, you'll feel that you don't have much energy because cognitively you're not feeling great, whereas physically you might feel okay. So sometimes not eating well can lead us to like skip training sessions or change our behavior because we're not feeling cognitively on point. So start to take a bit of a note, and it might be that you even track a food diary so that, right, I ate X for lunch. How did I feel 2 hours later? If I was working one-to-one with a client, we'd be doing that because I'd want to start to see patterns so that we can change things, because it might be like, whoa, you've eaten those 3 meals, felt tired after all 3 meals, and all 3 meals had gluten in it, for example, or eggs or nightshades or tomatoes or whatever. It doesn't matter. We can be reactive to literally any food, but we'd want to know so that we can avoid it, so that we can be more optimal. So start to eat and track how you feel after your meals so that we can start to dial in your meals more. Now, hack number 9. Now, before I talk about this, let's just talk about nutrient density broadly. We want to focus, and I think you'll feel the benefits of eating as much fruit and vegetable as possible. And sometimes the easiest way is to just change the types of meals that we cook. So when you cook things like soups and stews and make salads and like use a lot of chopped up vegetables, you can actually get a lot of nutrition in a kind of a small space and for quite low calories, because most fruit and vegetables are fairly low in calories. Of course, you can look to optimize that, but broadly speaking, they are. And when we look at nutrient deficiencies across the UK, there's quite a few kind of commonalities, and you're going to help yourself by eating as much fruit and vegetable as possible. Now, I've never worked with a client in my life that's not eaten more fruits and vegetables and been like, do you know what? I feel worse. So consider that today. What does it look like? And as a little bit of a steer, could you start to optimize based on color? Generally speaking, the darker or the richer the color of the fruit and vegetable, there's a bit more kind of nutrient, antioxidant, polyphenol activity in it. So when you think of fruits, think of red fruits, pomegranates, really rich color, pink grapefruits, etc. They tend to have a bit more nutrient density, and the same with vegetables. Even when people do that, and especially a high exerciser, we don't quite often get everything that we need. So when people train a lot, we tend to see that they still don't get enough vitamin D in their diet. That's more of a kind of a sunlight kind of time of the year, locality, seasonality issue. Vitamin D is in this. Secondly, magnesium. People that exercise go through a lot of ATP. It's used in our training. So we find that if you supplement with magnesium, you get better recovery, better sleep, and seeing as magnesium is involved in 350 enzymatic processes in the body, it's very important and can quite quickly lead to a decline in overall physical and mental performance. Thirdly, zinc, very important in people that train because it helps the hormonal system, it helps recovery, and a lot of people that train don't have optimal levels of zinc. Now, there's other things within that. If you're vegan, if you're vegetarian, if you follow some kind of specialist diet, you can be more susceptible to other nutrient deficiencies. And that's where I have always flown the flag for a really broad spectrum, really high quality, high dosed multivitamin. So for me, if you want high performance, this should be in the daily routine. It's part of my daily routine. My daily routine with supplements is omega, joints, protein, and strength to have creatine. They're the 5 supplements I use daily. And then I use electrolytes like in and around exercise. I don't use them in the morning because I actually have a mineral filter machine at home. That would be hack number 1 that we talked about on the hacks video. But to end today, think about your overall nutrition, your organization, how it's making you feel. Get that feedback loop. Make sure protein's high. Make sure calories are dialed in. Use our calorie calculator and consider a very, very high quality advanced multivitamin on top to make sure you're as optimal as humanly possible. That was hacks 7 to 9. See you on the next video for hacks 10 to 12. And if you've got any questions, direct message us on social media and we'll help. Here's to making 2024 as awesome as humanly possible.